Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of March. So let's jump right in. So for the month of March, I read a total of 6 books, which is perfect. That is normally what I average on a monthly basis, so I'm not too mad at it. So starting with the first book that I read for the month of March, which was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I love Leigh Bardugo. She has become an auto-buy author for me. I love her writing style. I love the way that she describes worlds, the worlds she builds, the villains that she builds are amazing. And she has a way of making a villain, not a villain, but a villain at the same time, but a good villain, although there are bad villains. I love her. I love her work. I love her worlds, period. Six of Crows is no exception. Here we follow a group of misfits that are on a quest. They are on a quest to retrieve something, which is a heist. That's what I hear more often, is that this is a book about a heist. And they're just a group of outcasts that have formed sort of like a family or a bond in a way, and another way not. Inej, love her. Kaz, love him. I love all the characters. There wasn't one character that I didn't like. There are characters that I got mad at, but I liked all the characters. Inej and Kaz have to be my favorite, as is the popular opinion on those two characters. Nina, love Nina. Who doesn't love Nina? But overall, loved this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I think that out of all of Leigh Bardugo's books, I probably have given in between 4 and 5 stars, no less than that. And I'm looking forward to Crooked Kingdom that I am reading this month for the Owl's Magical Readathon, and I am just, I'm so excited to read that book. Next book that I read for the month of March, I don't know why I have the need to keep saying for the month of March or for whatever month I am talking about, and it gets on my nerves when I edit it, but whatever. That book is The Deepest Blue by Sarah Beth Durst. I have a whole entire video reviewing this book, so I will leave it linked up above. I really enjoyed this book. This book is marketed as Island of the Blue Dolphins meets The Hunger Games, and that is all, and that describes this book to the T. I absolutely loved it. It was such a wild ride. The characters I just fell in love with. Like I said, I will leave the video linked up above where you can see my review. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Loved it. And this cover is just phenomenal. Next up is The Wolves of Winter by Tyrell Johnson. This is a book that I picked up during Barnes & Noble book haul sale that they had a bunch of books for 50% off, and this cover caught my attention, and when I went onto Goodreads, it had great reviews. I wouldn't say that I hated the story, because I didn't. It was very entertaining. I loved the whole plot line, but I felt like the whole entire book felt kind of flat for me. Here we follow our main protagonist, Lynn, and basically the world has gone to shambles. There was this nuclear war that happened, and then from the result of that, there was this disease that was spreading, and so her and her family ended up going to Canada and to like the wilderness in Canada and surviving from there. She has to learn how to hunt and how to basically survive. It's her, her mother, her brother, her uncle, and then her uncle's stepson, I want to say, or godson. And so they're all just surviving. They run into trouble. You know, that typical kind of post-apocalyptic kind of story. Very, very entertaining. I really liked it. This is a debut novel, so with that being said, I can understand the flatness, or it was missing something to make the book come alive for me. Lynn was sort of like a kind of protagonist. I liked her at times, and at other times I couldn't connect with the story the way I wanted to, the way I longed for, because I love post-apocalyptic, apocalyptic, dystopian books. I love them with all of my heart, but it missed something for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars because it was a very solid plot line. I feel like it just wasn't delivered the way it needed to be in order for me to connect with the story. Next up is You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by Rachel Lee Solomon. Now, you guys know this is not my typical kind of book. And so, yeah, I don't even know how to go on with it. This is just not my typical kind of genre, contemporary, YA kind of book. A lot of feelings, a lot of sentiments. Here we follow twins, and they are awaiting this moment when they turn 18, and they have to take this test to see if they have Huntington's disease, because their mother has Huntington's disease. And so they're building up for that moment. You know, they're in high school, they're about to graduate. One has very high hopes and dreams of becoming a doctor. The other one has hopes and dreams of becoming a soloist, a viola soloist. And so they're both aspiring their dreams. This is a Jewish family, and I really enjoyed this book. I learned so much from the Jewish community, the religious aspects in the book, their beliefs, their traditions. It was a book that I really learned from, which I really enjoyed. Learning from these two points of views of the daughters with their parents, because their parents are a very strong point in the book. I mean, I wouldn't say really strong, but they do have their part in the book with how their traditions are. One of them just doesn't care about the tradition, doesn't care about eating kosher, doesn't care about, you know, she's just not into believing what her parents want her to believe. And the other one is very adamant about following the rules and the traditions. And so you just follow their lives as they find out what the test results are, and just trying to continue with their lives as sisters. There's feuds, there's jealousy, I mean, this book has a little bit of everything. I really did enjoy it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the teenage angst, the teenage discoveries. It was just a very fun book. One of their names is Adina and the other one is Tova. Really enjoyed them as characters. Sometimes I hated them, sometimes I loved them. Being 37 years old and being a mother to a 17-year-old, some of the teenager actions and behaviors bothered me, but I also was able to see it from their point of view, because as I've said before, I'm the type of person, or I have tried to be the type of person that as I'm growing up, I made sure that I didn't forget what it was like being 15, 16, 17, 18, although I see the other side of it now as an adult and as a parent myself. But I always told myself to keep in mind what it was like, because whenever I did have children, I wanted to be able to relate to them and to feel what they're feeling at that moment. Sometimes parents forget about that. Sometimes parents forget about how badly hormones can be, rebellious kids and all of that. And so I just wanted to remember that. And this book just allowed me to see both aspects. And so I really did enjoy this book. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I was really surprised. This was a cover buy from Book Outlet, so I'm really glad that I did judge the book by its cover, because I enjoyed it. Next up is probably the book that I love the most. Well, you know what? I can't say that because Six of Crows has my heart. But the book that stole my heart this month is and was Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Wow. This book just ripped my heart out, was thrown on the floor, got stumped on as I burp. Got stumped on and then got put back in my little body, and just, I loved it so much. Now, going into this book, I was a little bit upset because I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. My husband thought I was crazy, but hear me out. throughout my whole entire life. How old is this book? Like 20 something years old at this point, something like that. Maybe, yeah, 20 something, whatever, 30. I don't know how old this book is, but really, really old. I never had any interest in it. Stephen King books, as I've said before, have always intimidated me for whatever reason. Him as a writer, I just was never interested in picking it up by intimidation. And then last year I decided to take my Stephen King journey because I wanted to advance or broaden up my reading, right? And I follow a lot of people that love Stephen King. As a matter of fact, all of the books that I have read by Stephen King have been through read-alongs through Johan. I will leave her, Johan, I hope, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but I will leave her Instagram link down below. Everybody is following her. She has, I don't know how many followers. She is a Stephen King fan, die-hard fan. Like, if I had to put them all in order, she would be #1. And so I've participated in the read-alongs that she's had this year for Stephen King, and I haven't been disappointed yet. Or even last year, I think, even that I have joined her read-along. And I always say I'm probably going to get through all of Stephen King's books through her read-alongs. So following all these people, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And initially I was gonna start reading them in chronological order. Then I started with Carrie, and you guys know I didn't have a very good experience with that. I couldn't get past the first chapter. And so then I went to Christine because of my husband. I loved Christine, and so far and so forth. So with that being said, even when the movie came out, I was never in that scene where I was hanging around people that talked about the movie, that talked about the book. Going into it, or even thinking of Pet Sematary, all I thought was, okay, I knew that there was an animal that came back to life and that it was evil. So that's how I just saw the book. Okay, this is just a cemetery where they put pets and they come back to life. And that's all that I thought about the book. Then the new movie comes out and the trailers come out, and I get so spoiled and so upset because I knew that I was going to go ahead and participate in her read-along in March or April. When did we read this? Yeah, in March. And so I was like going into it without knowing anything about it. And so when I see the spoiler, I was like so pissed, and my husband was like, really, Marcella, like you couldn't put 2 and 2 together? And I was like, no, I didn't, I couldn't. I was never interested in it. I never heard anything about it. I never read the synopsis. I never saw trailers for the movies. That's just how it was. Sometimes I live in this world of like in a bubble where I just don't know. If something doesn't interest me, I don't care. I won't listen to it. That's just how I am. And so yeah, I was kind of upset that a little part of it got spoiled for me. But nonetheless, I ended up loving this book. So this has to do with a family that moves into Ludlow, a very small city from Chicago. He is a doctor, and he moves there because he is going to become a doctor at this university. And he moves his whole entire family, and they love the place. And so there is this little path behind the house that goes somewhere. The little girl sees it, and the front door neighbor, this is what I like to call them, basically tells them, I'll take you on the little expedition, but basically there's a pet cemetery there. And so the story goes from there. I don't want to give too much. And so I loved this book so much. I loved Lewis's and Judd's relationship so much, and I feel like the movies, both of them, don't do it justice. Their relationship, their friendship means everything to me. There's characters that I despise in this book, but overall it was such a good read. It's so atmospheric, so dark, as I'm learning are all of Stephen King's book. I mean, I didn't have to learn that, I knew that, but I feel like this has taken the #1 spot of my Stephen King books so far. I think I've read 5 of them. The characters, the plot, the storyline is amazing. After reading this one, I watched the original 1989 movie, fell in love with it because I have never seen an adaptation take so much to a book. Loved it so much. Again, the character development, or not the character development, but the character friendship between Jed and Lewis, I didn't like in the movies. And then this past weekend, we went to watch, on Thursday, on release day, we went to go watch the new one. I didn't like it too much, but that's not what this video is about. Love, love, love this book. If you have not read Pet Sematary by some odd reason, you're like me, please do so. It's about grief. It's about trying to handle grief. It's about friendship. It's about family. It's about death. It's about all of that stuff. So, so good. Loved it. Needless to say, 5 stars all the way. And then one book that I forgot to talk about that I read during the Buzzword Readathon with that Books and Lala hosts, which is where I read You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone, was the group book When the Sky Fell on Splendor by Emily Henry. This was such a cool book, such a cute book. This follows a group of kids, these group of friends that are just these odd friends. They became friends at an odd time, and it's just a group of friends that you would not see hanging out together. 2 of the friends are actually a brother and a sister. They witness this light from the sky and this sort of like kind of, I don't know what to call it, an explosion, but let's call it an explosion. And the story goes from there. The friends, they all call themselves The Ordinary, and they have a YouTube channel where they film like silly, or not silly, but like ghost huntings, and they visit haunted places and things like that. And it's such a cool story. It's about friendship. It's about the 80s. It's in Splendor, Ohio, in a small city, so you have like that boredom, like that I want to get out of this place. They are all, I think just part of them are just graduating high school, while some of them, or maybe one of them, is still in high school. So it's about, you know, letting go and all of that kind of stuff. I really liked it. I have not rated it yet. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I haven't even closed it out on my Goodreads. I haven't like put that I've finished the book yet, because I don't know what I want to rate it or how I want to review it. So just know that I really did enjoy it. This book was very nostalgic, so there you go. So those are all the books that I read for the month of March. We are at 26 minutes long because I just can't shut up sometimes, and it's gonna be horrible to edit this, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. Let me know in the comment sections down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if I have enticed you to add any one of these to your TBR. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!